Oh, hi, everybody. Great to see you. Over the weekend, the prestigious Telegraph newspaper out of London, England, wrote a story about 10 Downing Street, that's their Prime Minister's office, looking to ban X, or Twitter as it used to be called. Not just that, but the story suggested that 10 Downing Street, which means the Prime Minister's staff, if not the Prime Minister himself, had conversations with other governments in the world about doing the same thing, including Australia and Canada. According to the Telegraph of London, there were conversations between 10 Downing Street and, I presume, 24 Sussex Drive, as they would say, about banning, censoring, regulating the internet. The particular reason referred to by 10 Downing Street, I keep saying that, but that's how the newspaper described it, is a trend using AI. There's an AI affiliated with X or Twitter called XAI. And if you ask that artificial intelligence app to put a photo of anybody in a bikini, it'll do that. It'll guess what their skin looks like underneath, and it'll put them in a bikini, which it hasn't been done to me yet, but I would imagine it's a little bit unnerving. It would be a little bit violating, even though it's not an actual picture of you in a bikini. It's a computer doing a pretty good guess at what you'd look like in a bikini. I understand why it's uncomfortable. This, however, was not just uncomfortable or perhaps even unethical, but it was grounds to ban the entire company. It's interesting to me what wasn't enough to ban the entire company, not actual pornography or actual obscenity or other things in the United Kingdom, like 100,000 girls being raped by rape gangs over the last generation. These are the same people, I should remind you, who want to let men into women's change rooms. So there's a lot of privacy and obscenity they're fine with, just not this on X. Now, I understand the problem, but it's a problem that's been around since, I don't know, have you heard of Photoshop, where you can take photos and shop them and edit them? That's been around for really 30 years. And it's not just Elon Musk's XAI or Grok. It's all of the AIs. You could ask ChatGPT. You could ask Gemini. These are different names of different artificial intelligence apps. All of them will do that for you if you ask them to. So why are they even talking about banning X when it's Grok or XAI doing it? It's clear they're just hunting for some reason to go after Elon Musk, who they desperately hate. Now, after this story in the very prestigious Telegraph, Evan Solomon took to Twitter and said, there will be no Twitter ban in Canada. He was pretty conclusive about it, but there's a bit of a lawyerly trickery there, because banning X, banning Twitter, although that was the phraseology in the Telegraph story, I don't think it would happen with an outright ban. I don't think that would be legally permissible in either Canada or the United Kingdom. I think what would be much more likely to happen is an extreme censorship, regulation, limits, rules being putting on X. I think that is much more likely to happen. And the United Kingdom's own censorship board, called Ofcom, is busy looking at it right now. Canada, I don't think, would outright ban X or Twitter. I just don't think it would. And I don't think even our courts would support that. But the Liberals, for really almost 10 years now, have been beavering away at different censorship bills, including one called C-63, which would have become law because it had support of the Liberals, the NDP, and the Bloc Québécois. But it just ran out of time when Justin Trudeau suddenly resigned last year, causing an election. All the bills that were working their way through Parliament were, canceled. C-63 has lots of regulations and fines and limitations. For example, a requirement that social media companies take down complained about material within 24 hours. And if they don't, facing enormous fines. There's a specific line in C-63 that contemplates a fine of a social media company like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram of 6% of global revenues for the company, or a $10 million fine, whichever is larger. Think about that. If something happens in Canada or one of these other countries looking to heavily regulate X, not only would they punish their Canadian operations, they would accrete unto themselves the right to take 6% of all of Twitter's revenues in America, in Spain, in Mexico, in Italy. Imagine the audacity. So yeah, you're not going to ban X. I don't think anyone truly took that literally. That was probably just a short form in the Telegraph. But heavily regulate it, tax it, fine it, shut it down? Absolutely. In fact, I took to Twitter after Evan Solomon said that, and I asked him, you're not going to ban it. Are you going to do these other things? Will you rule them out? He wouldn't say so. Because it's obvious. The Liberals absolutely would do that censorship. They're as obsessed with it as the UK's Keir Starmer is. They accurately see that X, or Twitter, has empowered iconoclasts, that is, people who smash bulls in a china shop, people who tear down walls. It's being used in places like Twitter. That's why the regime has shut down the internet and Elon Musk has turned on Starlink. X has circumvented other forms of censorship. You know, the regime media, Facebook, and others may ban certain messages, but under Elon Musk, X has not done so. And whether it's the story of what's happening in Minnesota with welfare fraud, or people trying to run down ICE agents, or a revolution in Iran, social media has allowed ordinary people to get information that they normally wouldn't be able to. And I think that deeply upsets rulers like Keir Starmer and Mark Carney. I mentioned the CRTC, the UK has something called Ofcom. That's their version of the CRTC. And I've seen it said that if Ofcom says a ban of X should happen, that the cabinet minister in charge is ready to implement that ban. I don't know if I believe it, but I can't think of anything that would sour British-American relations faster than trying to take on America's most successful industrialist, businessman, America's wealthiest man, and sure, someone who has sparred with Trump in the past. But he's back in the Trump good books. And even if he wasn't, Trump seems to be big enough to defend American industry, even if he doesn't particularly get along with this CEO or that CEO. If the United Kingdom were to ban X because of this bikini move that all other AI companies were to do, I think it would cause a deep, deep rift between the United States and the United Kingdom. And I don't know what that would manifest itself as. I'm not an expert in their relationship. Let me put it this way, though. If Canada were to be foolish enough to go along with it, well, I think that would deeply damage our trade and our national security relations with the United States, too. Will Keir Starmer actually fight Trump on this? I don't know. He seems quite adamant. Keir Starmer is so low in the polls, I don't really think he has a chance at winning, so he's lashing out at the people he blames for his loss. I mean, how many fronts can you fight Trump on? As they would say, you and what army? Trump has reinvigorated the United States militarily and economically, and how it so effortlessly seized the dictator of Venezuela, I think, has stunned the world. And you can imagine everyone from Vladimir Putin to the Ayatollahs of Iran have daydreamed, could that be me? I mean, China had its most up-to-date radar and anti-missile system operating in Caracas, didn't take down a single U.S. plane. In the end, more than 100 security guards, including 32 Cubans, were killed by the U.S. Army going in to snatch Maduro. Not a single American. How is that even possible? To not even take one casualty while dispatching 100 bodyguards. It's so overwhelming. And I think the rest of the world knows that and sees that, and they're still adjusting to that. For example, when Donald Trump said on Air Force One yesterday that he's going to take Greenland one way or another because if he doesn't, China and Russia will, I think that has a new urgency because people are saying Trump is toppling countries. And he certainly looks to be shaking Cuba to see what comes next. So many countries around the world are trying to figure out what to do. I think that America is simply operating in fast forward. I think that Donald Trump is trying to do things in his remaining 3 years and 8 days that he's not going to wait around for polite company, whether it's what he's done in Israel by supporting them against Hamas, what he's doing in Iran by encouraging the uprising, what he did in Venezuela. Mark Stein wrote a whole book called America Alone. It's almost alone, but it's got new allies. Israel is on the right team, and so are many Latinos. They look forward to the continent being liberated. And don't forget other European countries too, from Poland to Hungary, who are resisting this woke drift that the UK has succumbed to. And by the way, don't give up on the United Kingdom just yet. Nigel Farage is on the right track in so many ways. And although he doesn't get along with Tommy Robinson personally, so what? One's a politician running for office. The other is the leader of a movement. You know, we're dear friends with Tommy Robinson. He is back big time, and it is because of Twitter, frankly. When Elon Musk reanimated Tommy Robinson's Twitter account, it gave him his voice back. And from there, he's been able to fight for so many things.